Welcome to the 1978 podcast. I'm here with Brandi Kalish, decorator extraordinaire, a friend of mine. Very fun
Hi,
and
Alex.
hardworking person. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Alex?
I can't complain. I haven't caught the bug, and work is picking up. So, it's like it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that work is picking up. Yeah. That's super important to our friends and our crews that are like our families. So it's really nice to see that our industry is coming back. You know, people don't think about us as much, the crew. They think about all the actors and the actresses. And, there's been a lot of jobs that have continued to carry on during this pandemic, but the entertainment industry, as you know, has not been one of them. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Good to hear work is coming back.
It definitely got to, a point where, I don't know, probably June or something, I was really starting to get, June, July, starting to sweat.
Yeah. The first 3 months, I was like, okay, this is okay. Like, I'm going to make art and focus on studio arts and, like, work on my house and hang out with my husband and kids. And then after, like you said, like, once 4th of July hit, I was like, all right, let's get back to it. And then it's been
a fun weekend.
My business partner for studio arts, Emily Schaefer, we had to drive to Tucson for a family thing for my son. And we went to the Saguaro Cactus National Reserve, and she said something about how slow the saguaro cactus grows, that you actually never physically see it growing, but that after 150 years, even after 100 years, it becomes this magnificent architectural, just stunning work of art and nature. And that's us. Yeah. We are slowly growing like the saguaro cactus, and we're getting there, but nobody can see it. So hopefully,
it took me a while to learn that. It took me a while. It took me a while to learn about to embrace the slow growth. Yeah, trying to work in this business, because
it's tough.
You think you want to get on it and get going, but you got to kind of start taking the average over the year and say, look, you're not going to work every day. You got to be prepared for ups and downs. Just in case,
it's wild.
Just so that everyone that, all the millions of people that are going to be listening to this, so they know, you are a decorator. You decorate for television, film. Some of the notable work that you've done is most recently Silicon Valley, Dead to Me, White Famous, Teen Wolf, Wilfred. And in those shows, the decorating or the decorator, I should say, you're a part of a team. So you've got the designer, the decorator, art director, and many other titles, your lead man, the crew, graphic designers, the painting people, the construction, so on
many.
So down the line. It's confusing. The term I like to use is that I had to kind of come up with on my own through my own process is to demystify the process. And it wasn't until I PA'd on a Kia commercial or something downtown. And when I showed up, it was like a night shoot, and you get there and it's like an enormous parking lot full of cars and trailers and arm cars and camera trucks and all this stuff. And I didn't know who did what. I didn't know what was going on. It was just a giant mess of people, and everyone's running around busy.
And gear.
Yeah. So, in the sense of talking to somebody who doesn't understand the process, how did you realize that one day you said, I'm going to go after that, and I've met someone, and I'm going to follow this person and learn what they do? And can you kind of talk about sort of how, in a nutshell, maybe how that came together?
I don't know if it's in a nutshell, but I will say that going to art school and being an artist since I can remember, nobody told me, and I know this is a problem in our industry, but nobody told me that the title set decorator even existed. I didn't know what a set dresser was. I didn't know what a set decorator was. I didn't even know really what a production designer was, what an art director was, what a buyer, what they did, how they got there, anything like that. And that actually is one of the reasons, many reasons why I was like, yeah, let's do this podcast, Alex, because people just don't know. And unless you're in this bubble and you somehow your Jack and Jill trades of your life gets you some haphazard way to that title, it's not wildly talked about like, oh, hey, this is how you become a set decorator and this is an option for you. My story is definitely, like I said, not in a nutshell. Through the process of meeting someone that I was dating, through a band, through meeting my mentor, Michael Whetstone, who then we were doing, grand stages and world tours. And I started out as an apprentice. I didn't even get paid. He taught me my craft, and that became, more stage design. Those bands then turned into production design by doing their music videos. The Hughes brothers, we were doing a lot of music videos for them. They're wonderful to work for. And then those music videos turned into commercials. So then once we started doing commercials, the group of guys, the Whetstone design guys, who are all now like Adam Davis is a big time art director. He did Hunger Games. Steve Redmond's a director. Marco Mille is a set designer. He does huge features, and Whetstone did New Girl and does, massive projects. They sort of trained me. They did train me. But then once we started doing commercials, they were like, wait a second, like there's an opportunity here for Brando or Brandi, that my nickname's Brando. So I was falling into the decorator position, although at the time, like Steve Redmond was kind of being sort of the decorator. I was picking out the cafe tables for the car commercials. I was picking out all of the smalls. I was picking out the art. I was picking out the furniture. And back then, that was my in on how, thankfully I was able to get into the union. From there, that turned into TV shows. And then the journey isn't done just because you get into the union. I always tell people that once that happens, it's a very long process of which direction you want to go to get to that like level of your career that you're after. So I've been doing it for 20 years.
A lot of people take their foot off the gas. It is. I've noticed a lot of people take their foot off the gas when they get into a union. I've never liked that. It always seems very lazy to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends what position you are. It's like some people will get into the union as a set dresser, which, just to kind of break it down, like it's like an art army, and there's ranks almost like a tree. There's the production designer, and this is just under the umbrella of the art department. There's the production designer, which is what everybody sees on a card when they're watching a feature film or, a TV show, which I actually think set decorators should get a card too, but some do, I guess.
I'd put your name on it.
What?
Whenever I'm filling out a little piece of, something for dressing for the desk, and I put the decorator, the lead, I put their names.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is like when you watch a feature in the very beginning, it'll say the actors, the director, the DP, and it'll show the word production designer, the title with the person. And the production designer is the person that creates the architecture and oversees the look of the project, but they give me a building or a shell or a location. And like we talk and we work together to create a look. And obviously like a decorator is the person filling that set or that location or that environment, indoors or outdoors, with the characters, the layers, the rugs, the art, the furniture, often custom made. And that is an art that is like almost three-dimensional sculpting that I weave from the scripts. So, and from the actual look of the architecture and the location, whatever it may be. So there's the production designer, and then from there, there's the art director, who is in charge of the construction coordinator, the construction guys, the painters, the mill, the sculptors, the welders, etc., the foremans. And there's the set designers who do all of the CAD work. Often back in the day, it was more pencil drawing, but now it's on computer. And so on and so forth. There's, art PAs, there's art coordinators, and that is part of that group. And then there's the branches, right? And those are part of the branches, but then there's a hard branch to set decorator, which is a department head in itself that is in charge of the lead man, who's in charge of the logisticals of like how all these items get to and from the stages or locations or, the sets, and the gang boss, and then all the set dressers, which are the hardworking men and women who bring in the furniture and bring the art in and hang it and level it, and and the buyers, they're working with me hand in hand. It's the on-set dresser who's there next to camera, and then set deck PAs, et cetera,
Yeah.
and then another branch, which is the prop master, and they have their whole slew of our army people, very in line with what the set decorator, art director, prop master has.
All these lines
it's
are
a huge group.
Yeah, these are all the lines that are not, I think, are not obvious to people who haven't been working day to day in this world. When someone casually watches a movie or TV show, they, who directed it, who's in it, maybe who's the DP or the camera guy, but beyond that, I mean, we're just totally behind the scenes.
So where are all the famous set decorators?
Well, they exist. Like, they totally exist, and I start to, they definitely exist, and it's like, I guess there isn't really that sense of glamour that like Entertainment Tonight can talk about. Unless somehow the audience. There is.
I mean, honestly, like if they only knew, and but like if they only knew what we were seeing and experiencing and talking about, and I mean, the real story is behind the camera.
Why do you suppose? Just maybe your opinion, but why do you suppose a director gets fame and a decorator doesn't? What do you think that is? Is it just humanity wanting to kind of connect to the heart, like the mind behind it? That's like, it's the writer director and it's their idea, or why not give the fame to these other titles?
Well, weirdly, within our circle of Hollywood, yes, there are, like, in my mind, there are famous production designers. There are, there's, in my mind, in our world, we think, oh my God, you did this, or, I really loved your work in this. And we're more entwined in that, right? But I think because it's just easier for someone to look at a film and go, okay, who's that top person that created that, which is the director or the writer, director, showrunner too. And then they are kind of the overseer of the whole thing. So that's where they go.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if they picked apart the whole entire show and certain people got credit for certain things, but I will say on Dead to Me,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. On Dead to Me, you got a lot of recognition for that work.
Yeah, it's.
Isn't that you were nominated for an Emmy for that?
I'm super grateful.
Weren't you nominated? Weren't you nominated for an
Silicon
Emmy
Valley,
for?
Yeah,
not Dead to Me. Both?
Silicon Valley was the Emmy nom. Yeah.
Not Dead to Me. I thought Dead to Me was some. I know about Silicon, but I didn't know about. Didn't you get nominated for some? There was some big to do about your set on Dead to Me.
Well, on Dead to Me, this season we did not get nominated. Hopefully next, but but Architectural Digest did an article on the look of, Dead to Me, which was super awesome. And literally, I think since season 1, there's been, could be 1,000 emails of fans reaching out that are waiting till the end of Dead to Me, or going through Netflix, pausing it, looking to see who the set decorator is, Googling my name, and then emailing me through my website and saying, hey, oh my God, I've been wanting to remodel my kitchen forever. I've been wanting to get a new bed in my bedroom forever, and I just haven't felt inspired until now. Where did you get that bed? Where is the bedspread from?
Yeah.
Where are the draperies from?
It's all Brandi Kalish branding.
I seriously, no, for sure. A lot of the stuff I did custom design and make. So, but it's all decor based, obviously, like when they're asking other questions about the cabinets or whatever, I'm saying, well, the production designer, helped with that, did that. And I, helped pick out, the layers in the kitchen and whatnot, and the lighting and the pillows. But I went out of my way and replied to everybody. It took like months. So, and I'm still like, just now before I sat down, a woman just hit me up on Instagram and asked me where these pillows were from. So I noticed I go out of my way to respond. For sure.
Which is actually a really nice thing to do, because when people get a response back from somebody, it's almost like it's like a civilian and a someone in some sort of special service. It's like they're trying to reach you to talk about what you do when you respond back. And I'm speaking for myself, because there's people I'm trying to get on this podcast that have done work that I really like, including you, which I finally got. Okay. And I message them on Instagram, and then I comment on their photo, and they respond. I go, I'll think about it. And I'm like, so to hear back.
I know. I just think it's important, if somebody is passionate about what I'm doing and something that I've made or I created, and they're, writing me and asking me about it, if I have 5 minutes to reply to, 10 of the emails really quick, I will do it for sure.
Yeah. And I'm not going to make this a full speed brown nosing session. However, I remember when I met you, I didn't know what you did. And to be honest with you, I could go on for a while here, but I'll keep it short. I got a lot of work because of knowing you. And,
cool.
and the people you introduced me to, great people. Anyway, in this business, there's people. What's a good example? So imagine, here's a good sort of analogy. When you text someone, they could respond. You could say to them, hey, I got a question, XYZ. They could respond back with a sentence, or they could respond back with an emoji. If they respond back with, when you hold down the text, and you can just respond back with like a thumbs up that's like a little bubble on the text. Yeah. So to me, that's the minimum you could do. And this is just as a text message analogy. Sure. In this business, people tend to try to find the minimum they can do to respond back to you, unless you're really high up on their importance level, right? Okay. And I didn't really know you that well for a while, and you were still responding to me and helping me out with like information, and I'd ask you questions. So you're one of these rare people that is willing to take the time to answer somebody's question or help them along, and kind of, what do you call that when you send it back down the what's that term? The
karma.
Yeah. But it's a rare thing that people will be as busy as they are, have their 14 to 18 hour, and your days are really long because you have so many different you're not just doing one thing and you have to focus on this. You got to focus on this and then 10 other things and the last thing. So
like 100 other things.
Right. So anyway, you're a rare breed, I think, and you deserve all the success you're getting. I've noticed that from that Dead to Me, at least via Google, there's a ton of like branding things that are like, you've like started a little bit of a fire there, which is really cool. It's great.
Lamps Plus reached out, and I became like a brand ambassador for them. When we first were nailing down the look of Jen Harding's house in Dead to Me, there was just a lot of deep diving with her character, and it happened to be that a lot of the lighting in her house is from Lamps Plus. So I get a ton of emails from fans asking, like, what's the chandelier in the foyer at Jen's house? Or what are the 3 chrome, island lights in her house? And I had like a little folder on my laptop, and I would just send it to everybody, and then finally like Lamps Plus and I connected, and they were like, hey, you're selling a lot of lights for us.
That's great.
So let's make you a brand ambassador. Yeah. But I love them, they were very helpful to us, and, it's hard to get stuff like that in multiples so fast. Like that's another thing people don't realize, that when you are just a regular consumer and you want to redo your bedroom and you want a specific light, you can order it and wait 6 weeks for it. And it's not a big deal, or wait 3 weeks or whatever. In my business, we do not get a lot of time. So if I can order something in multiples and get it right away, that is a bonus for me. So,
can you talk about
send me an email right now?
Can you talk about why we need many of one thing? Like you might need 5 lamps instead of 1. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, for instance, Silicon Valley, Pied Piper season 6, that was the size of like a football field, that set, and it was 3 stories, and we needed 260 desks. Like not everybody needs that much stuff.
Shout out to Veridesk.
You have to reach out to the vendors. Yeah. You have to work with these companies and make sure that you can get what you need quickly, that it's within the look that you're after, that it's within the budget that you're after, and that it works with the characters and the story and the period, if it's present day or, 1950s, it doesn't matter. And so it's hard to get things often as quick as we need them. So, that is how that relationship with Lamps Plus happened. And other, articles too, like with season 2 that came out, like Refinery 29 reached out and it's been a really big honor. And
so when can I go get a Brandi Kalish lamp?
Well, ironically, I'm definitely working on that. So we'll see. You'll be one of the first people to know, Alex, for sure.
Sweet.
But that is something I've been, working on furniture design and lighting design for my whole life. But obviously, as you know, like our jobs are very, very, we're working 14, 15, 16 plus hours a day. So I really throw myself creatively into every project I do, but I certainly have some stuff up my sleeve that will be happening. So,
as an example, as far as like, we talk about our long hours, it just made me think of a good example as far as these layers you were talking about and long days.
Yeah.
I remember when I day played on season 6 of Silicon with you guys, and that Pied Piper, that final office they had.
Yeah.
I remember showing up there. It was a giant empty room, like you're saying. And there were 40-foot trailers showing up, full. To the point when you open the back door, there's boxes to the ceiling up to the door. So multiple 40-foot trailers, full to the brim of boxes of product that you've wrangled somehow. And it was, how many of us were there? At least, I guess, 6, 8 of us working all day long.
Yeah.
So there's like 8 of us working all day long for a week, like bringing stuff into this location. And after all that, 8 guys times 5 days, at the end of that week, still you're like, okay, I'm not seeing it yet. Like, not you meaning, but like it wasn't even close to done. So
that was just the desk.
Yeah. Well, there was some other thing. There was some little like furniture pieces.
A couple things. Yeah.
But it's like, that's the volume of man hours and labor to get something going. And what I wanted to kind of thread through that is when you see a wide shot of, again, for Pied Piper, let's say, the amount of detail. I wanted to ask you, I want to get into the weeds a little bit. And talk about detail. So from like an aspect of like layers. So you've got an empty place. Then you've got these nice desks, and then you get to this final look where the desk has a computer and, you know, a Red Bull and a keyboard, and then like, can you kind of talk about how you think that through and where you go to sort of like, is it you go home and you sit and you take notes and then you think how and you pictures, and like, can you talk about that process?
Well, I do a lot of research, and then we, depending on the project, for Silicon Valley, we traveled up to San Francisco and we toured like a ton of tech companies, from startups to, you know, Dropbox, which was absolutely breathtaking. And side note, the one thing I really appreciated about, like, for instance, Dropbox, is that they obviously went totally out of their way to find artisans, craftsmen, you know, artists, sculptors, furniture designers that were just totally random out, you know, like people that you would never think of, and hire them to make like a stunning bench for their hallway or their lobby, or a massive mural in one of their conference rooms, or they like went out of their way to do that. Like, these Silicon Valley tech people, they know their art, they know their furniture, they know their design, they know their decor. And so that was really exciting to see that. And then, of course, like, I have a photographic memory. It's like something that I only have realized maybe in the past, like, I don't know, decade, that it's real, but I take a lot of photos. I have like 70,000 photos on my phone, but I take moments of everything that I've seen in my life, and it's like a catalog. And so, for instance, for Pied Piper season 6, you know, we had 200 and some desks. I would break down like sections. So like, we had the more creative section, which was hypothetically in the Pied Piper land. Like, that is where Richard Hendricks would have all of his people doing graphics and logos and having, you know, the proper monitors for that, and mice and whatever, right? And what would those people have on their desk? Okay, so they're a little bit more creative. They live up in San Francisco. They are going here for lunch. They have this kind of friend. This one has a boyfriend. This one has a girlfriend. This one, you know, has like a lumbar support on their chair. This one is drinking Red Bull. The other one's drinking tea. This one's drinking a Yoo-hoo. It wouldn't matter, you know, like, we would break it all down, and then let's go over to the coders. Okay, so these guys are more strict about their tech. Like, this is the kind of tech they're using. We would like talk to all the major players, you know, Microsoft, Corsair, you know, the list goes on, to get Razer, to get the hottest tech. We custom build the computers. We had a technology game boss, Jordan, and
who was from San Francisco,
who was from there, and all his friends are in, you know, Silicon Valley. So every single cord, every single thing was super thought out, like down to even a USB stick would have a sticker on it that had to do with that character that was at that desk. And then there were our main characters like Guilfoyle and Dinesh and Richard himself, his CEO office. The art in Pied Piper was all custom made. You know, for instance, the piece in Richard's office, there were 2 artists, but it was very, we tried to find something that was very neuronet, like very, something that he could look at and meditate, because he was the CEO of this humongous company. And if I put myself in the position of Richard hired me as the interior decorator to design Pied Piper in Palo Alto. That's what I thought about when I was doing it. And so,
not Richard Toyon.
Well, also Richard Toyon, but Richard Hendricks.
Right.
You know,
so you kind of, it's like putting yourself in a mind space that helps you get more to the point of what really needs to be seen.
Yeah. I mean, I researched even like, what is the kind of art that CEOs in Silicon Valley are buying right now? You know? And so when you first walked into Pied Piper, the lobby, I commissioned a piece by Matthew Billfield that was a pointillism dowel art that was of the famous Lena JPEG image, which is a square image. It's the top half of a Playboy centerfold, and it is the first ever compressed JPEG image, and it's called Lena, and she's actually famous because of it in the tech world. So I took that image, we had to get it cleared and licensed and blah blah blah, but then gave it to this artist who other CEOs in the Silicon Valley world were buying big custom pieces from him, and he made this stunning piece for us, and it was in the lobby of Pied Piper. So that's really how cool. Deep it goes.
Yeah. And even just watching it, aside from all the everything else that's going on, I've noticed that if I remove my sort of critical thinking and I just look at it as your average viewer, those things that you do really, 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 especially on that show, they really bring you into that world and help you solidify your belief that you're there and it's real and you're in that moment and it all is coming together, and the things that you see are, the kind of coffee that that guy or those group that people would drink in that environment, and the snacks on the wall, like all that stuff makes a lot of sense. And it's I think probably there's a very few people that are going to acknowledge that you did a good job, because the designer and the director and so forth, they know why you did it. But the audience, your average audience member, just assumes, yeah, that's what they do, but they don't know how much it took to get that cafe.
How hard it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's why, to get the Emmy nom for season 5 was just like mind blowing, obviously something I'd always dreamed of. And that was for season 5. I mean, like Pied Piper season 6, I mean, we did Rust Fest, and that was a 40,000 person music festival. And that was before the season finale episode, which was another 30 plus sets. Yeah. So it was, we pulled out all the stops. I think Alec Berg told Rich Toyon that we laid it all out on the field.
Oh, really?
Which is like, I think it's like a Babe Ruth saying or something, I hope. But basically,
went all out for the finale.
That's how we operate. I mean, my crew and I, we give it all we got, like hands down, because it's like, why else even would you bother? There's no half-assing it. And
if it's going to take that much time,
world.
Yeah. If it's going to take, there's so many good reasons why I agree with that mindset, because you're already there. It's already pretty much your life. It's like 90% of your life, and your family has 10%, for the time during that. So if you're not going to give it all you got, you're wasting your time. And the other thing is that it was successful and it looked good, and all that effort went to something good. So it didn't just take all your energy and then never come to fruition or not be seen. So it was worth, speaking about talking to like creators and stuff, I would assume that your meetings and stuff and prep, you probably have a fairly limited amount of time to talk to Alec Berg or Mike Judge and stuff. When you do get into these meetings and you have time to kind of extract, what they're looking for, how do you approach that? How do you formulate your questions and get as much as you can out of that short amount of time while you're near these people?
It's kind of like a layered process, because we have our production meetings, and then Rich and Mike Judge and Alec are close. So like he would have like more of a special access with them.
And Rich is the designer, right? Rich is your designer, right?
Yeah, the production designer. So it was amazing. And basically he had been working with Mike Judge for a long time, and Alec. So we would have meetings with them, and I would just break down on a piece of paper the super key points of the things that I needed to know, because as you know, even being a set decorator, we're just screaming busy, but they're very screaming busy. And so I would just get what I needed out of that information and kind of branch it down from there. So, but we were blessed with them because they trusted us so much and they gave us so much creative freedom. that by the time we made it to season 6, I mean, we did have meetings, of course, but they really let us just put our foot on the gas and go. So that's, I don't think a lot of people get that opportunity, but it was like definitely a highlight in my career. That's for sure, to be able to just create Pied Piper at that level and create Rossfest at that level. And I can honestly say that every set we did, there was nothing left behind. Like every single detail was like methodically thought about and processed and inputted into the set. There wasn't like fine, okay, we're done with this one, let's walk away. It was like, we are literally taking it there to the hardest level, and okay, they're happy, now we can move on.
Yeah.
So, but that's how we roll.
Well, you also open set whenever there's when a company moves, so that you're there, so they can get all that final question and little piece they needed. You don't just take off and you're not available all of a sudden, which is a huge thing.
And honestly, the best thing about that is they loved every set. So
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh well, when we were doing Rossfest, Zach, who played Jared, said to me when he first got there, we were like standing out there. It's freaking insane. It's like an empty mountain mesa, and then all of a sudden it turned into a music festival. So he said they were like coming over the mountain, bringing him there. And he said they saw like Rossfest in the distance. And he said that they were like utterly, utterly blown away that we even were able to like figure out how to do it in the short amount of time we did at that level of detail. But that to them as an actor, when they see us bring it so hard like that makes them like just absolutely fall into character and not, it's like, they want to do the best job as possible.
Yeah.
So that was a really big compliment.
That's nice when it comes from like the sort of the actors, but like the actors are sort of the backbone and like the focus. So when you get it from them or the director, it's like, okay, that's a high compliment.
Mike was blown away too. I mean, they were very happy. So it was a really good feeling. That's, part of the reason why we do it for sure.
Yeah. I'm not asking you to throw anyone under the bus, but in contrast, so you had a great run, a great experience where they let you go because they had the trust and you felt like you weren't getting stopped. What's it like on something that you worked on where you're just getting like, and I'm not trying to bring the house down here, but in contrast, when you got a show that you're, commercial or whatever it is, and how do you deal with that designer or director or somebody who just keeps emailing and calling you and double checking and stopping everything? And so, how do you get through those bumps in the road?
Well, I would say that I haven't had that happen in a long time because like what we were talking about in the beginning of this conversation, I mean, I've been doing this now for, I guess it's 20 years. And a designer or a director or a showrunner, usually like you connect with that person, and even if they're a little unsure or it's the first time they're working with me or with anyone for that matter, at this level, they typically don't act like that. They're like, okay, like you go through such an arduous process just to get hired at that level of a project that by that time they're hiring you because they trust you to do this type of job. Now, sure, occasionally there'll be a project, but mostly it's been in my past where they're not as trusting or they're nervous or they're more, I don't know,
amateur.
amateur OCD about the process. I mean, everyone's a little OCD in our business, but again, like I try to stay away from projects like that nowadays, but I do remember what it was like. And I just rolled with it, like I don't have like a tremendously huge ego about it. At the end of the day, like I treat each project the same, whether it's something lower budget or something higher budget. I consider myself and my crew, we're a bunch of artists and we're trying to three-dimensionally sculpt something for the greater good of, what this project is. So, and we enjoy it. I enjoy it too. And I love working with the camaraderie of a crew. That's something that's really important to me. So we all like feed off of each other, and it's like an energy that
it's nice to be around people that you like, for sure.
It's awesome.
My one of my personal, it's not really a rule, but I try to use it as a guideline, is for this business and this work is the money and the people. So the money and the people, or the money's great or the people are great, or both. If the people are great and the money's not so great, that's cool. Vice versa is cool. If they're both cool, you're living it up. You're having fun with everyone, and you're making a good
I feel
thing.
like that's what it's been like lately.
That's great.
So I'm really grateful for that. Yeah. I mean, I've had the same crew now for 5 or 6 years, and we all have a shorthand, and we just have a really great time. But when it's time to get serious and really make things happen, we know how to do that too. So
nice. That's great. I'm with you 100%. So looking at all your work here, I've noticed that you did a really amazing job on this little show called Reanimated.
Oh my God, that was forever ago.
In comparison,
that was literally like, I think I was like 24.
Oh, really?
I don't even know. That was forever ago. Yeah.
Well, what I was getting at is, I guess with anybody, in their line of work, you can see sort of a difference in what they did a long time ago compared to now. And for anybody, not just you, and I'm not just like,
evolving.
It's an evolution. And you've definitely like I was mentioning to you about how, it's really interesting to hear about how people keep moving towards what they're trying to get to. And your list of work is just like, okay, now this, and then another step up, and another step up. So where do you see your evolution and your timeline of your work? Like, where are you, like, mentally, and what have you done that you've been happy about, and what would you like to do that maybe you haven't done yet?
A lot of people, I see their list of work like that. I mean, not everybody, but I see, you take those like steps, and you can kind of see like which direction got them to where they're going. That's the cool thing about our business. It's like, you just never know like what's coming next. But I definitely have had more of a darker vein in my stories. Like, obviously I did Teen Wolf, and Dead to Me is a darker kind of dramedy. Silicon Valley, but I loved, but had its own dark humor in it. So I feel like, things have been going kind of in that direction. But I would like to, eventually move into features. I think more features. But I like the TV world too. It's merged, as like everything is like being shot like a feature film when it's a TV show. So we're getting that same feeling that it is when you're doing, you're binge watching a beautiful, season of whatever, and it's like a feature film. So we're still getting that recognition, but I would like to move in that direction if, for the future. But also the furniture design is hot on my radar. And then I have Studio Arts too, which is, a contemporary art rental studio for our industry that we've been focusing on this year.
Yeah.
So, but with Corona, everything's been kind of put on a little bit of hold. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm just ready to move past it, but safely.
Well, I didn't read it thoroughly, but I glanced at most of it. Is that that COVID agreement with the unions and DGA and so forth?
I just saw that we have to take like a class.
Yeah, so
safety class.
At least it feels like that has created some sort of sense of someone has responsibility and now there's a go-to and we can work because now we know how that's going to roll into the whole thing. But I still don't think it'll be set in stone for a while.
I know. I just did a Netflix special for Kevin Hart. And basically it felt safe. I mean, they tested us every day and, you know, we did our job, and there were COVID officers kind of bopping around telling us, hey, you know, spread a little bit farther apart. We got our results right away. You know, I felt really grateful for that. I feel like that's what the whole world should have, rather than, you know, it's like, hello, everywhere you go, you should be able to get this. But I never could have predicted this. Nobody could have. And I miss working. I miss my friends. I miss creating. I mean, we had just opened Studio Arts 2 weeks before the shutdowns, which was not expected and definitely not something we were hoping that would happen ever. But I've been very lucky and grateful to have a place to come to create and put my time aside from being stuck in my house, which I love too. But, you know, it's been like very therapeutic for myself and Emily to come down here and have this space to work out of and do the furniture design and do the art creating and do the painting and do the thought process that we're so used to going through, you know. So now once we get back going here, working on a project, we'll have, you know, a place that we can go to that we feel is safe. So but I'm ready to go back.
That is, I completely agree that to have the sort of a little escape, a little private getaway, but it's also a creative zone. It's really
super important. I mean, I just never, I never could have predicted this. And, you know, I'm sure everybody's just dying for new content, and we're dying to make it, you know? So I'm excited about the future. And I want everybody to be safe. That's the number one thing, you know, so our families are safe too.
I completely agree. That's why I consider myself, you know, I have my complaints and I have my whining and bitching, but I mean, I'm not sick, and, you know, I've got work coming, so I have really nothing to complain about, you know.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, you have your cool studio too to hang out in.
Thank you.
That's all lit up blue.
From this particular angle, it's kind of cool looking, but it's actually just a garage.
No, it's super cool. And all of your like little drawers that are P-touched and labeled. What's in those drawers, Alex? What's in those drawers?
So there's a lot of different shit in here. A lot. I mean, a lot of this is like little tools. Like if I move my big fat head, you can see my set cart.
Is that a Himalayan salt lamp?
Yeah, every podcaster has to have a Himalayan salt lamp and a skull, I think.
Really? Where's the skull?
There's one on the left and right, a black and a white one.
I see it. And the 1978, that's the year we were born.
And if I'm going to, if anything else I want in my life is to get a 1978, I know you don't wear hats, but maybe if I work with you on an outdoor shoot, I'll get you to wear one and I'll get a picture of you.
I don't know. It would have to be like a
cool
a newsy like cap, like one of the like.
Come on, Brandi, put on. Come on, Brandi.
Embroidered with the 1978 with like crystals or something.
Yeah, like a chandelier.
I'll draw you a picture.
All right. Hey, I'll make it.
I didn't know. Does other podcasts have the Himalayan salt lamp? Is that like a thing?
I think the Joe Rogan podcast probably is the biggest one. He's always in.
I love watching Joe Rogan.
Yeah, the last studio he had before he did this move thing, there was one like right center between him and his guest. I've had this little work table like in the middle is here for a while, and it's always been there. But I just moved it for this shot. I kind of did a little like, you know. Since I was having you on, I'm like, I got to put a skull or like a black, you know, something fun right there. So something
cool. I love skulls. I mean,
me too.
You know,
I don't know what
my parents, as you know, are in the funeral business. And I used to, apparently when I was little, I used to beg my dad for a skull for our fish tank, but he didn't get me one because he said it would be unholy.
Yeah.
So I love Joe Rogan. I
Yeah.
love watching the podcast. I don't get to that often, but I will say that the night of when we were nominated for the Emmy, my husband was like, look, we got to just watch something and chill before we go to the Emmys. And he was like, watch this podcast.
Yeah.
So it was Elon Musk's first time on Joe Rogan. And everybody talks about like, oh, he smoked the spliff, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that.
Whatever.
The number one thing that was most important that I took away from that podcast was his focus on time management and how he talked about how he handles being the head of Tesla, the head of SpaceX, the Boring Company, etc., a parent, a husband, blah, blah, blah. And so that was something that I'll never forget. It really made an impression on me. And so every time I'm like, oh my God, I have so much going on, this is crazy, you know, or whatever, I always think about Elon and how if he can run all these companies and do all these things and put rockets in space and Mars and whatnot, then I should be able to handle my workload.
You know what? To be honest with you, I'll be real with you, but my opinion is that you can have one little thing to do or 100 things to do. But if your mentality and your personality can't handle it, you have a personality where you can accept that there's a lot to do and just go one by one and get it done. Some people can have 5 things to do and they're like, I can't handle all that, and then just start breaking down. Your personality has to be such that you can.
Yeah.
And
I know.
Can you go into that a little further? Because that's interesting I know that if you're not a decorator or at least close to it, it's hard to understand your day to day, especially when you're like, let's say, prepping a job when you've got 2 sets or 5 sets to decorate. You know, I know that this city has got a lot of places to rent from, but that really isn't your focus. You go online, you make calls, connect, like all these things. So how do you manage your time with a show and 10 sets and a crew and locations and la? Like, what's your...
Oh God. Well, it's definitely a talent for people to be able to do that. And I think everybody has their own way of doing it, but it's all like in one big melting pot in my mind. And then I just start spacing it out, and it's a rapid fire situation. For instance, when I'm doing a show, I will do a humongous set deck list that is like the Bible for the crew. And I update it every 24 to 48 hours. They send it to everybody. And it's kind of like a piecemeal situation for everybody. So like they'll look at the set deck list of every single hope and desire and want and thought and meeting and conversation that I've had or read, etc., that has to do with what our show is. And Tom will be like, hey, I have 20 gray, moldy logs covered in moss that you need on this list over here in a pile by my house. I'll load them up tomorrow and I'll bring them to set. Oh, Emily will go, or one of the buyers, or Julie, or whoever will be like, you know what, I'll hit these 10 prop houses and I'll look for this specific chair. Another one will be like, I'll go down here. And it'll be like, everyone will just branch out from this main list. And then I will tackle
you divide and conquer.
The bigger, more difficult things that have to be massaged a little bit more. And we'll just keep working on it and timelining it. And it gets to the point where it's such a grease wheel situation that we're just rolling it over, and it's starting to happen. And, there's an adrenaline to that as well, like accomplishing that many things at once creatively. But also something that's really important to me is to be a kind person, like genuinely. Like people have problems, people get upset, people are happy, people are sad. I don't think it's and I feel Hollywood is changing a little on this, but I don't ever want to be a boss that is rude to my crew or aggressive or a screamer or anything like that. It's just never going to get anything done. And I think I just recently did a commercial with Whetstone, my mentor. And I realized after all these years, because I started working with him when I was 18, he is the person that I learned that from. Because when I'll do anything for him, because he has been so kind to me and such a human, like just nice, but still he pushes me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Creatively, but he's a good person. And so that's important to me too. And I feel like when everybody has that big list and everything's nuts and we're crunched and everyone's respectful to each other, it's like everyone works 10 times harder. I feel like that's something that's truthful.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I guess maybe it sounds a little, I don't know. I feel like it could sound funny, but if you just get a little pat on the back once in a while, it really keeps the motivation alive. You know?
Yeah,
like,
no, I guess, yeah, I've heard of that.
From the people on top, like even just whoever you report to, it's just nice to get a little good job, guys, today or whatever. Because if it's just all yelling and stress and it's like, hurry up and where are you? You end up just being like, I already know I'm going to get yelled at, so why hurry? You know, you give up that edge. You're like, well, I'm not going to win no matter how hard I try, so why keep knocking? You know, let's just skate.
Yeah.
And you know, I hear that a lot, especially when you're swinging around, getting sets, getting props. I hate to say it, but a lot of people, they give up real quick and they start saying, let's take an hour and a half lunch and relax because who cares anyway? We're just going to get shit on when we get there and shit like that. So it's like it's definitely better when the people above, even just within your immediate department, you know, even if I like getting praise and saying you did a good job, but I also like knowing, hey, we could have done this better. We needed to be here sooner. Here's why.
Yeah.
Because that helps too. It's like, okay, I understand what went wrong there and how we can improve. And the next day you take those steps and you do those things and you don't go down that road and everyone's happy. And that's good too. Just good information, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been a long time since I've worked with anyone that hasn't been a nice person, but I feel like everybody, you know, just has like on Silicon Valley, on Dead to Me, etc. Like we have such a hard job already, and there's a lot of creative pressure and a lot of time management pressure, like we were talking about, and a lot of financial pressure, and a lot of personalities and a lot of communication that is so key. If everybody is just happy, you're already tired, you're hungry, you know, like you're working long hours, you're not with your family, whatever. It's just creates like the explosion of like happy, creative sets, you know, and you can see it. You can see when you're watching it, whatever it be, a movie, a TV show, you're like, that crew was happy. They gave it all they had. They worked together as a team. And it's like one big, you know, three-dimensional sculpture that they all did together. Yeah. So you can tell when they give it all they got. I like to be a part of that. I'm sure it's what similar, you know, it feels like maybe, you know, I guess not to be in the army, but like just to have that deep camaraderie, to have each other's backs at that level.
It is though. I think it is. I feel like there's definitely a military-ish kind of thing going on where you've got your position and you got your job to do and you got to be ready to do it. And it's definitely not the same thing, but there's some similarities there. And the fact that everyone has, you know, there's a list that comes out and it's like, here's a list and here's the date and and your job is this and you better be there at this time. I like that exists because then I know where I stand, you know, and I know that I know how to stay in my lane, and I like knowing that stuff, and it's good. I think it's a good thing. It's a fun and in the show too. I think if you like the show or movie or whatever it is. So if you're decorating something that you're on, let's say season 2, and your season 1 was a disaster, if you take the job and then you end up just like, the show is dumb and I don't like that's a little tough. But if the show is cool and you've seen it and you like the show itself, to me, that's
Right.
really inspiring because it's like, this show's rad. Let's make it as great as we can make it because it's a fun show already. We know it's going to be good. It's a big, big deal.
That's how we felt. I mean, that's how we've been feeling, but that's on Silicon Valley. We were just like, and Dead to Me and other shows, but you know, the most recent, we were really excited, you know, and I feel the same way. Like I was saying, I really miss everyone, and I'm looking forward to the future. And I know we've all changed because of this pandemic. Hopefully change for the better as a nation, as a world, and maybe we'll be a little more cautious and careful about like each other and our health and just our, you know, happiness, I guess, as humans. But I'm just so looking forward to getting back at it. You know, time is moving so fast. Like, you know, there's so many places I want to go. There's so many people and countries that I want to see. And there's so many more sets and projects I want to do. And so it's like, come on, let's go. Let's get this done. Let's get there, you know?
What I was take a step back a sec and ask you about, I guess Silicon Valley was somewhat bright as far as the look of things, and Teen Wolf was very dark. Obviously, it's nighttime, and you know there's underground and bunkers and stuff. But I thought that those sets were super rad because they were just so like sci-fi and noir and stuff. Do you have a like? Is it? Can you say that there's sort of a like a look or a design or a feel that you prefer or like that you've done or that you would like to do that's your favorite, or is it just sort of do the best with what you got?
I mean, honestly, I like to do the best with what I have, no matter what. It doesn't matter if like I'm doing, you know, a Japanese village or a Silicon Valley tech company or a 87, you know, fruit bunker or whatever that we did on Teen Wolf, like, you know, or a 500-foot tunnel that has rats crawling all over it that are like greased and trained. It was hilarious. Or a little girl's bedroom or Jen Harding's house. It doesn't matter. I just like to do it in general. But I do tend to lean towards the darker stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean like totally a darker look. I mean, Dead to Me is very bright and present day and Laguna Beach, you know, high-end modern, you know, homes, but it still has that vein of darkness, the story. So that seems to be a theme for me.
Okay. You can kind of somewhat gauge people from their Instagram. Not really deeply.
It's like an explosion of
but
things.
It's actually kind of, I mean, I can gravitate towards it because I don't know why, but I'm definitely a fan of architecture and geometry and patterns and things like that and lines and
myself as well.
Yeah, and I end up noticing when, you know, you walk into some place and there's like some wall of you know, balloons and they're all evenly spaced out. You just kind of look at it and sort of, you know, wonder at it. And a lot of your stuff, a lot of the things that have seemed to have caught your eye they're either symmetrical or sort of evenly asymmetrical and very colorful. And, you know, even the stuff that's chaotic, you know, with like branches or something, you could still almost kind of divide it evenly. So it's just interesting and the viewpoints of the street and like stuff like that. Is there something that kind of you've maybe noticed about yourself that aside from your work, just in your general, you know, how you view things, do you kind of see things in a certain way that is geometrical, architectural, or that you can talk about?
I'm definitely drawn to the geometry of things. That has been something that has been present since day one. I recently found some examples I did in photography class in my freshman year of college, and it was close-ups of the cropped geometrical fish at the Seattle Pike Place Fish Market and Romanesque cauliflower and just all these sacred geometric type things. So obviously that's something that's just kind of in there. I will say I take my Instagram super seriously.
Oh, do you?
There's a reason why there's long gaps in posting. Sometimes I'll just be like, boom, 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 boom. I'll like knock out like 5 at once or 1 a day for a week and a half straight or something. But then I'll have a 2-week gap.
Well, your photos are definitely
choice. I haven't seen anything that I feel is worth putting on my Instagram.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that the ones you put up don't feel like it's just like you got out of bed and you're sitting at the table. It's like, okay, this is something that has something gravitational to it. It's interesting in some way. It's not super, super average, boring stuff.
I put a lot of thought into what I'm going to post. I mean, I always thought, God, I should make a second Instagram of all the stuff I almost was going to post, but then didn't.
I know a lot of people that do that. They keep their Instagram pretty serious and like about the subject that's sort of related to what they do or what they like.
Yeah.
And then they have the second one that's all just, blah, 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 whatever it is.
I'll probably just stick to the one, but and also I haven't been out working. I'm not in these really crazy vendors where I'm just overloaded with beautiful furniture and decor and weird objects and bric-a-brac and tchotchkes and things that nobody ever gets to see. I mean, just recently I was at a prop house and I saw those heart-shaped 1950s fly spotters that are literally brand new. They've never been touched. And I couldn't believe it. That's why don't we make stuff like that, anymore? It just, they were beautiful. And so I dumped them out on the table. Oh, you did that?
And you laid them out? Of course. Red and blue,
And so I'm not out as much seeing all these wild locations and whatnot because of the pandemic. So now that I've been out more, there'll be more on my Instagram.
Oh, cool.
For sure.
You went to Iceland once, and then I remember you posted, I think it was old bathhouses, or it went next to a grave or something like that. And it was all it was just very, very you. And it was this dark old building made of wood that time was just had eaten a layer away, or many layers. And then this dark gravelly dirt that was almost like black sand. And then these graves. And it was just so it was morbid, but it was also that looks like just normally how things probably are. It didn't look like it was a random, it looked like the average kind of building. And
that's one of my favorite places so far that I've been to. I've been to Iceland twice, and it's I could literally live there in Reykjavik. It's the architecture there is absolutely incredible, and I don't really like the heat. So I prefer it being cold. I'd rather have a jacket on and a hat and scarf, whatever. But just everything there is, I don't know, they've just really had to adjust to their climate, and there's not a lot of trees there. So they take a lot of care in what their architecture and decor is. And even down to the fonts on their tombstones that they have in their cemeteries, and how they do their tombstones and how they do their cemeteries is very thoughtful. Every single chain is carved, and every single stone is it's thought out, and it's just really, really beautiful there. And I got some of the best sleep I've ever got in my entire life. I flew there after season 5 of Silicon Valley. We did a pilot right after, and I got on a plane. Josh and I went, and I think I slept for 3 days straight. I missed the Northern Lights because I was so tired after working.
You sure? Yeah, I was gonna say, are you sure you just weren't super tired and most tired in your life? That's why you slept.
No, that's why.
Oh,
that's
it
why.
is? Okay.
Yeah, I was after a job, and I just got on a plane and flew to Iceland, and
because you end up working you're not sort of adhered to company. You kind of just keep going probably 7 days a week on a show,
absolutely.
in some capacity.
Yeah, it's running at like NASCAR full
Yeah.
speed, and then when it finally ends, I
You're
just drop off, and that's when I like to go somewhere
Yeah.
immediately after and just have a change of pace. And
I like that. I know it sounds
Yeah.
odd, but it lets me fully commit to family and then fully commit to work. It's not
Yeah.
like I have the weekend, let's hurry and do something, and then I'm tired on Monday because I never rested.
yeah,
It's like, let's just give it all we got until it's done. And then I
Yeah,
can just
yeah, yeah.
be done with it, and then I go do this, rather than I kind of have a day for my kid, and then I have to go. And then it's like you're never like an 8-hour Monday to Friday where you have a little bit of time, you get home and you worked, but it didn't take all
Yeah.
day, and you can kind of work. I don't know. I prefer
I
the full
don't
on.
know if I could be like that either. Like the 9 to 5, like it's like full throttle and then full throttle.
Yeah,
So it's crazy.
it is. What was I going to say? It was something about you were talking about Iceland. Shoot, I had a question. Damn it. Oh, look at that one. I like the one with the dice. Yeah, all your photos have all like great colors. You see like these little, the guinea pig. These like,
Oh God.
sorry.
We actually got a puppy recently
Oh yeah, I saw
that that we named Salem, Massachusetts, because that's where my husband, he's from near there,
Yeah.
we got her right before the pandemic, and she was like this big when we first got her, and now she was a runt, but she's a boxer, so she's kind of a small boxer,
Yeah.
and I've never had a dog before, or a pet really, besides guinea pig.
Who's stepping up? Who's stepping up and taking responsibility with the dog? Is it falling on you?
Alaya.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, it has not fallen on me.
Good,
no,
good.
but I get all the benefits of having a puppy. I get to like hug the puppy and pet the puppy and do whatever with the puppy. But then, the boys, Odell and Alaya, are responsible for. Yeah. So it's been nice. It's really, really cool, I have to say. Like we never had pets growing up. So
I would love to get one. I think we'll probably end up getting one when Rory gets a little older.
Yeah, no, because the responsibility will fall on you then, because Rory's so little.
Yeah.
Wait till she's a teenager, Alex.
Yeah.
Just wait.
I had a question. I'm not remembering it super clearly, but I kind of wanted to see, I'm looking for this connection where, you've got a 2-dimensional plane on TV and film, and everything's it's being watched on a TV. So it's not 3-dimensional truly, but it's you can have parallax where you see dimension, but ultimately it's a 2-dimensional. So there's your art and like what I see behind you and stuff, and like there's more to art than television and film, and obviously that, and I wonder what is in your mind and what is there that you're attracted to. And I'm not sort of just zeroing in on you, but for artists in general, and I could ask myself the same question. It's your eye catches things, and I'm like you're taking pictures of stuff where it's like, that's just interesting looking, but if you really stop and think of it, and you don't have to be on acid or anything, and it's not like that's fine if you are, but aside from just thinking of it from like a trip, but it's just what is the human, your eye catches that stuff. The guy that works at a bank that's just interested in working at the bank and managing money, he doesn't see these things, or she or whoever. There's just people that don't notice this stuff, but you and other artists have whatever it is that notices shapes and color, and you seem to also kind of be going far enough to where you're probably looking even a little deeper with just some of the abstract stuff, and there's obviously a thing there, and I would love to just kind of I'd love to know why people are attracted to certain things. It gets kind of psychological, really, but
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, my Instagram is a really good example of, obviously, like I said, once every week or 2 weeks or once every 2 hours. It just depends what pops out.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I visually find tasteful and find attractive. All the pieces here at Studio Arts, like, you know, Emily and I thought very deeply about each piece as a set decorator, as a buyer, what is needed out there in the world, contemporary art wise, to provide for people to rent, because obviously a piece can't be too in competition with the subject, or sometimes it can be. It just depends what the script is or the content. But as far as like a personal preference, I think a taste kind of can't be taught, and every person has their own personal taste. And mine's developed over the years, but there's just a certain look of something that interests me that the minute I see it, I know that it is something tasteful, that is something that other people will find, you know, exciting to them creatively, whether that's a piece of art, whether that's a powder coated table or a dolly or a vase or a rug or a flower or a building or a piece of trash on the ground. It's whatever it is. When I see it, and in set decorating, I am like, my husband teases me that I'm like the robot Johnny 5, like how in the Short Circuit movie, how he's like, input, like I'm like scooting through all that stuff so fast, like books and internet and people's pages and different content from all different places. Not just like, I don't just go on Tumblr. I'm like deep diving into like the newspapers from the 1800s and just weird stuff all over the place. Modern, I Google and look up like German furniture companies. I go, like, I'm looking through whatever I can and getting as much input as possible. But when I know something, I'm attracted to something, I know that it is something that I am after creatively, whether it's old or new or in between. So
you sort of organically,
I don't know what, it's organic. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I'm doing a set, there'll be one thing that I gravitate towards that'll get the ball rolling. It's like, I'll be like going through the aisles at a prop house or a vendor, or whatever, or online or however it comes out. And I'll be like, there it is, boom. And it'll hit the whole ground running for the rest of the set.
So it
can be something small, it can be something big.
It just sparks something, and that color kind of range gets you going to the next thing and whatever it is.
Yeah. And then the same with like just everyday items, like, you know, Instagram or whatever. That is something that,
well, Instagram's
I won't post it unless it's something that I feel is important to me.
As I say, it's almost like a great little diary for maybe someone like you. You can flip through and remind yourself of something you liked that will help the next thing.
A visual diary, absolutely. I mean, I used to do like drawings and journals and stuff when I was younger. It was kind of like a paper Instagram. But now, you know, we live in this digital world, so it's, you know, it's very I don't know. I love to see what everybody else is up to, you know, but I also love the disconnect too. Yeah. You know, that's important.
There's if I try to equate like, or think of how, you know, when you, the visuals of a TV show or a movie, and when I look at things that, just from the set, like the location of the set, locations, like that's something that really is actually quite fun. Is I'll get a call sheet and look first to see where we're shooting, because it's really fun to think, oh, we get to go into this loft apartment in this 65-year-old building downtown, and then go to the roof, and literally no one's ever allowed there, but now we're going there, and I can go up and down as much as I want, free reign, and take pictures. Yeah. And the angles you get and the things that you see, and so when you get that, and coupled with like a professionally decorated design environment, so you're taking that space and then adding a bunch of even cooler stuff to it to make it the geniuses, like, you know, little like workshop or whatever. It's just it's fun and rewarding and very special feeling. And
I agree.
The only things that like are like that when you're not working, not the only thing, but one good thing is like when you go off somewhere random, like a desert or the ocean, and you get these vistas and stuff. That's how I could equate it to how to get that feeling, but not through work, is to be somewhere unique, that's interesting looking, that I could go, you go drive and take like the long way to Vegas, let's say, and you end up through like Route 66 or something. And these like, there'll be some iron like gates on some road to nowhere. And you're just like, that's so strange. And I just want to look at it. I'll sit there and like take a picture and then just listen and like hear the desert and look at it and look at close, and the metal is like rusted. And like there's a story and all that. And I don't know. I think that's where I can kind of agree and understand your world, because these things say a lot, and they're fun to just enjoy because they're part of the world. And you know, that it's not a brand new building with white walls that you know, a doctor's office that's just has no character really. I mean, it says it's a doctor's office, but there's nothing, there's no soul to it, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting to get to go to different places. And like you said, the only thing that it can equate to is really traveling, you know, like, or I guess being in your home that you love. I mean, and changing things and kind of decorating your home. That's super exciting. Or maybe picking out a new piece of furniture or a new outfit, but there isn't that's why people, you know, once they get into this industry, it's like you automatically know whether or not you belong with us or not.
Yeah.
So it's like we were talking about in the beginning, like it's not a lot of people know about all the crews and the positions available that you can work towards. And anybody can get into our business. It's not easy. It's hard. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of talent, a lot of different things that have to come into a person's life at play to get to where everyone is working at whatever jobs they have in the industry. But it's out there. Like, you can be a set decorator, not just an interior designer, but actually like design and decorate things you never even dreamed of. You can work watching film sets as a set dresser. You can be by the director. You can become an on-set dresser. You can be a prop master if you're into firearms or food, or being, building different, props or whatever. You can be a prop maker. There's all these different jobs. There's craft service. If you're a chef and you want to be in the film industry, you can do that. You know, it's not just director, actor, actress, DP. You know, we're big. It's a really exciting thing. And I
bet anybody could just Google and probably find a call sheet from something, and you'll see that you'll find some, whether it's from some movie from the 80s or whatever you find, but it'll be the example. And you see all the way down to the assistant and to the person just cooking breakfast, or whatever it is.
Sure.
And not to say that that's low on the importance level, because there has to be someone making breakfast.
No, it's not low at all. I mean, we have to eat. I mean, that's like, we're like, what are we having for lunch today at craft service? Or whatever.
And you know what? That's actually something I wanted to mention, that I know you know this, but the importance of everything may not be clear, but everybody's important. Because, for instance, the food, the person that preps or cooks food, if there's no food there on set, if they're not making you lunch or making breakfast, that means 100 people got to go out and wait in line at a restaurant, and they're all going to come back in 2 hours. So it's actually beneficial, and the reason the food, amongst others, is there is because, look, here's your food, now let's go to work so we can get things done, rather than hoping everyone comes back on time and so forth. So probably why a lot of like Google brings in lunch for their crew, their staff, because they want to keep working, and get things done.
Yeah, but the tech companies have like the best lunch cafeteria situations ever. Hence, we recreated it for Pied Piper. Yeah. But it's the food is super important. On Wilfred, Elijah Wood and Jason Gann, they were very passionate about having the best chef.
Oh.
So I think they had like a cook-off or something in the very beginning, and then like the crew would run to the food truck at lunch to get first in line. I mean, they were incredible. We'd have like crab fritters and like shrimp scampi and like crab legs and, you know, barbecue chicken sandwich, just incredible quality food.
I feel like the best catering that I've noticed and the best crafty has been, and I haven't worked on many, is movies.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'd say like pretty much it's gotten better, hands down, like as the jobs I've done have progressed. Yeah. But, you know, I don't get a lot of time to eat.
Well, so, you don't get to hang out and like take your hour lunch.
Yeah, no hanging out, no hour lunch for Set Decorators.
You're like, you don't even.
I have like a little bento box that I just bring and like snack on.
I think I've seen you go all day on like a Red Bull. So, you know, I don't know that you even need to eat. Do you eat ever? Have you eaten before?
I'm a vampire. I do eat, yes, but not a lot. But when I finally get to go to like travel or you know, or home or whatever for Thanksgiving or, you know, whatever.
When the show's over,
yes, I eat, Alex.
It's when I see you work and you're just like, I don't have time, maybe, like, you know, and then you just keep push and you get all your stuff done. But
yeah, I'm too focused to eat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, so hey, let's talk about Studio Arts for a second and how people can look it up.
So Studio Arts, we, like I mentioned, we opened a couple weeks before the pandemic, and Emily, who is a buyer who works with me on all my shows, we have been like thinking of doing this now for forever, and we went for it. And I know like it's easier said than done. You know, people talk the talk, they don't walk the walk. It's really hard. Our families came out and helped us. It was not easy. You know, we've had a lot of help and support, but we did it all on our own. And so we created a large library of cleared contemporary art pieces and decor. They're all sourced from us ourselves. We have taken great care in picking out every piece, and you know, we picked out the frames. Anything that is framed with non-reflective plexi for, you know, DPs, whatever, so it doesn't have that high shine glare, or it's just framed on a floating frame. So I also tried to really deeply think about that the pieces aren't too heavy, because like these are all things that we've come in, you know, we've had these problems and come to realize like, hey, you know, like we need something quick. We need something that hangs on a 3M hook. So we've got all these pieces. We had our family come out. We made this beautiful spot downtown LA, and boom, pandemic hit. So we have a website. It's studioartsllc.com, and we have an Instagram, and which is the same. And, you know, we are getting back into the groove. You know, like commercials and stuff have been like kind of reaching out. We've been really grateful for the support, and, you know, the stuff's so great. Like I love it. So I'm excited to share it with all the set decorators and buyers and have everybody see. I'll send you, Alex, everything. Let's see, I will. Let me just, did I somehow, can you still see me, Alex?
Yeah. No, I see.
So, okay. I'll send you my Instagram.
I know your Instagram. We're on
the Studio Arts Instagram.
Oh, didn't I get on that? I thought I followed you on that.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
Okay.
Sorry, I saw Instagram coming through, and I was like, oh, am I saying it wrong?
Yeah. So it's Studio Arts LLC, at Studio Arts LLC is the Instagram?
Yeah, at Studio Arts LLC.
Because there's another Studio Arts in like North Downtown that does something related, but not decorating. It's like VR or something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that, because that is why there's the LLC.
Yeah.
Because there are just so many different things out there. Yeah, Studio Arts LLC, but for instance, we have decor and furniture as well, and 1 million pillows, and a ton of them are custom made.
Oh, cool.
But we're just really excited to fill this niche of contemporary cleared art.
Yeah.
Because
can you actually mention that really quick? Talk about cleared art, because that maybe people don't understand why you need cleared art for TV and film.
Yeah, it's a big one. So for instance, on Silicon Valley, we custom made a lot of the pieces for the sets. But any art piece that goes on a movie set or TV set or commercial or whatever has to be cleared, meaning you can't just go grab a Damien Hirst print or original from whoever and film it and have it be in a, Clorox commercial or whatever. I'm just trying to brainstorm here. It has to be cleared. You have to actually have the sign off of the people who have done that piece. So all of the art at Studio Arts we have the clearance from the artists themselves. So therefore, when a decorator, buyer, or set dressing team comes and picks out the piece for whatever it may be, we can say, what, you're good. This piece, it's cleared. So we are confident that you won't have to deal with that. And that is a big thing for a lot of crews and stuff.
It's nice to have that security that you're not going to risk anything or hear from a lawyer in 6 months randomly.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same concept as putting a magazine on a coffee table in a set. You can't throw Auto Trader on a thing without talking to Auto Trader. Right. You know what I mean? Or you can't put Glamour or Vogue out on a coffee table in a set without, having the clearance. It's the same thing with the art. So all of our stuff is cleared, and we have, the documentation of that. So I think that'll help a lot of set decorators.
Totally.
I know it will, actually.
It helps them for sure. Also, the non-reflective or the lack of glass or plastic, because at least on commercial, I've noticed I'm always taking the glass out of artwork because it's always a reflection, no matter what. No matter if you think it's going to be out of the shot, they always get a reflection of something.
Yeah, that was one of the main things too. I was like, we have to have most of the pieces either not even with plexi, just floating frame, or with non-reflective.
Yeah. And have it hopefully be on a matte print, because even the print can have a glossy. And then next thing you know, it looks like it's reflecting just as much as the plexi was.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, a little gimbal, you'll be good.
What are your like a tape ball or something?
Yeah. But they're, we've been looking into doing some self levelers on some of the pieces that you just unscrew and, they can gimbal. And it's definitely something that, we just thought long and hard about trying to put that, fill that void in our industry. So
that's cool.
The plan is to just keep growing with our inventory, and, once our industry gets back up and running a little more, we'll be able to add more pieces to the Studio Art. So it's awesome.
That's all I do is when I hear about people saying, well, I need to rent XYZ, I don't even care if you have it. I'll just say Studio Arts and just push. We need 18 couches. Studio Arts.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, I can't wait for I think the industry is at 20% right now or something, which I'm grateful for. But once we're back 60, 70, 100% capacity, we'll be cranking.
I'd be willing to bet if I put my money on, if we start feeling like the industry has got to the speed that it was at late last year, early this year, that you're just going to be your head's going to pop, because if you're working and you're having to put energy towards Studio Arts, you're just going to never have time to stop.
Well, the good thing is the past 6 months, Emily and I put all of our energy, a lot of it actually, into Studio Arts. So we are dialed in over here, and we have a full-time manager and some other crew people helping and working. So we won't necessarily be here, but we have a full staff helping do sales and managing everything and getting the pieces all packed up for everybody. So we will be able to have it totally work out. So I'm super excited about that.
That's great.
Cool.
You have like all the, like how that I don't know if you want me to mention certain other art rental places in Hollywood, but they wrap it in the brown paper and the bubble or have either like reusable corners, and then your stuff doesn't get damaged and all that, like dialed in stuff so that you're totally ready to.
No, we love all vendors, honestly. Like we're friends of all the vendors, and we just want to provide some new, stuff out there for everyone to choose from. It's
cool.
And have it be like of the highest quality as well. So
that's great. I think that cool. I think that particular sort of direction as far as artwork, it's like you can't really say you can kind of be in competition, but you're never going to find the same selection at a place like that. It's not like cars or something or a Honda, and it's like it's orange on the background with a black dot. Like it's like you're not going to find that in every place. You may have to shop there to get this specific.
Right.
So it's unique that way.
No, I know. We definitely have super unique stuff. And so anytime I see any of the other vendors who, again, they're our dear friends and we use them on our shows and everything, everybody is really like a big family. Like, there's no really like weird competition or anything like that. Everyone's super supportive. And, if we don't have something, we're like, oh, go to this place or, vice versa. So we feel good about that for sure.
Cool.
So.
Hey, did you want to talk about where people can like obviously your IMDb or your website or anything like that?
I feel like a lot of people have been finding me on my website with the Dead to Me stuff, but it's just my name, brandikalish.com. Has all my shows on it. I was going to actually put up You're the Worst, even though that's a show I did sort of a couple years ago. There's been kind of some renewed interest from people for those sets. So I was going to pop that up there. And my IMDb, it's funny. They somehow know how tall I am. I don't even know how that happened.
Really?
But it's amazing
Somebody
the stuff
must
that they
have
find out. What?
It's like what's that other website? Wikipedia? Like somebody else takes the time to look you up and then put your information on your own website or your own page for that website.
Oh, geez. I'll have to see if there's a Wikipedia or not. But yeah, maybe.
Well, like IMDb, I guess you could submit on somebody, and if IMDb accepts it, but that's strange.
Yeah, they're very strict about that, IMDb. Like that's actually like the legit place to look for someone's like resume.
Sure.
Because they vet everything that's submitted. So they're very strict about that. So at least like when you can look at someone's IMDb, go, okay, this is what they did. And this is,
legitimize.
But you have to kind of legitimize it. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So that's your website. You got your business. And do you want to mention anything else? What's coming up, or kind of just like let people check out what you did?
Yeah. I mean, my Instagram's Brando Set Deck. I'm planning on, doing I'm starting a project like now, which a lot of people I'm sure will find out soon enough what that project is, and then I'm excited for Dead to Me season 3 as well. So cool. Yeah,
and it's one of your favorite months of the year too.
I know. I'm super excited. My husband's birthday is coming up, and
you're going to decorate your house for Halloween? That's a great house to put something up.
So last year we had a Day of the Dead party because we had just moved into our house, and it was like the most epic party. And we're going to do it again this year. And obviously we can't. So keep a lookout for the Day of the Dead party at Brynhurst Manor. We'll see. Right. But I'm excited.
Sweet.
Future stuff. But yeah, I love October. I love the fall. I love the winter. Love the spring, not so much the summer. what
we do have of it in this region.
Yeah. What we do have of it.
Brandi, I really appreciate your time.
Cool.
Very much so.
Thank you.
I'm going to look forward to having you on again next week. Just kidding. I look forward to seeing what you do in the future, and obviously love your style and appreciate you.
Cool. I appreciate you too, Alex. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I appreciate you and Rory and Lauren, and I am very grateful for our friendship.
Me too.
I'm really proud of your podcast, and
Thanks.
I'm very honored to be on it. So
I'm very honored to have you.
thanks, Alex.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. I'll
Bye.
see you soon.
All right.
Catch you out there.
Catch
All
ya.
right. Peace.
Bye, Brandi.